Hi, Stephanie Abrams here, dashing through the airport. I'm going on an adventure. I've got my backpack, I've got my laptop, I've got my traveling shoes on. Come along with me. This is Stephanie Abrams, delighted to be in Adare, a wonderful town, village area in County Limerick on Ireland's wild Atlantic Way. And I am here at, now I have to read it from the card because it's a very long name and I want to get it perfectly. And you know how good I am at screwing up names. So it's Fitzgerald's Woodlands House, Hotel and Spa. That's a lot of words.
Well done.
Yes. And I'm here with David Fitzgerald, the general manager and son of the family that started this wonderful place. And we're in front of, actually we're sitting in this wonderful alcove in the bar that's dedicated to your dad here in Dick's Bar. And you can see the man himself behind us.
Correct.
This is a wonderful memorial to him, and it's so typically Irish because it's not one of those gloomy, sad kind of memorials to people who have passed, but it is a celebration of his life, isn't it?
That's exactly what it is, Stephanie. Yeah, I suppose as a family-run business, I suppose our integration in terms of how we deal with our community is very, very important to us. And Dad was a great community man, and he enjoyed people and he enjoyed laughter and he enjoyed hospitality. And this area really is a celebration of his life, I suppose, from his youth growing up in Castleisland, County Kerry, to just up to when he died in 2014. Yeah.
Yes, and I've met and interviewed and grown to love many Kerry people, and I can tell you, you can take the man out of Kerry, but you cannot take Kerry out of the man. They're always very quick to tell you, oh no, I'm a Kerry man. So.
Well, you're going to laugh because the quote actually on the wall right behind your back, and my dad he lived in Adare for 50 odd years, but when he went away, whether it was into the US or whether it was in South Africa, and people asked him from where he was from, he used to always say, I'm from Castleisland, County Kerry myself, even though he lived in Adare longer than he lived anywhere else. So you can, as you said, you can take Kerry from the men, but not the men from Kerry.
Yes, for sure. So when did your mom, Mary Fitzgerald, who I've interviewed once in person, met her a couple of times in travels at various functions and events about travel and tourism in Ireland, and interviewed her at least twice by telephone. When did Mom and Dad start this amazing place?
Yeah, they started in 1978 as a 4-bedroom bed and breakfast.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's kind of developed slightly over the years, I suppose, to what we have now, essentially family run. There's 5 of us working in the hotel part of it. There's also 2 of the family working in the spa. So essentially there's 7 of our immediate family directly employed here, along with a team of 200 other wonderful people as well. But started off as a 4-bedroom B&B in 1978, as I said, then added on 12 bedrooms in 1981, and then added on a further 20 bedrooms in 1990, and we added our banqueting facilities at that stage, added on more bedrooms again in mid-90s. Then we added on our leisure centre and more bedrooms again in 1999, and we built our spa in 2006. So that's it for building. We're done at this stage. But
you think you are?
No, we definitely are. And I suppose over the last 3 years particularly, we have been working very hard with refurbishing all of our property, I suppose, to give the guests the best experience they possibly can get. And in that time period also we got our 4th star. We were a 3-star property, so we got our 4th star in the meantime as well. So that has been very, very good for us too.
Oh, and congratulations on that. Congratulations. Now that you've got all these additions, what what is the total number of accommodations that you have, and how many people can you actually sleep here? Or what's the heads in beds count?
Yeah, so we have got 90 rooms in all, and we can sleep about 250 people because we've got a mixture of different styles of rooms in terms of family rooms, because a huge amount of our business now is actually intergenerational business. So the grandparents, the parents, the children, and we do it ourselves. We visited Florida just before Christmas, and Mom was with us, and obviously our 3 children, my wife, but also my father-in-law. So, and we do a lot of that business ourselves here in the hotel. So we've got lots of different setups for that kind of events that way, and we do an awful lot of celebrations as well as parties. So people who are on vacation, but maybe they are on vacation for Dad's 70th birthday, say, and then we have private dining facilities where we can do the party itself in that as well. So people find that very, very handy to have as well, particularly when they have children with them and all that kind of stuff too.
Well, you've done a beautiful job here, and the fact that you have recently been awarded the 4th star. And, this is an important issue for my audience to understand. There is no official body in America that awards stars. Many places decide for themselves how many stars they have. Some websites will ask people, how many stars do you think this should be? And so it's a consensus of opinion. And, the consensus of opinion is almost meaningless because it's all dependent on how sophisticated the travelers are. Because what's 5-star to one person is 2-star to somebody that's traveled the world and knows what a 5-star hotel should be. So, but when you get into Europe, there is criteria and there are governmental rules, and they have also craziness like the percentage of noble materials, which means how much of it is stone and marble and granite as compared to wood or something else, or brick. And the taxes that hotels will pay will also be based on the number of stars they have. So many times you will find some fabulous place that's doing its best to stay under the radar and remain a 3-star hotel, because when they get the 4th star, their taxes go up. So there's a lot you have to understand and realize, but you've done such a wonderful job here, both in terms of decor and comfort. And certainly, this is the first time I've met you, and I feel like you're a member of the family. That happened in the first 30 seconds, and meeting your brother. Is his name Richard? Name for Dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, there is that innate in the DNA Irish warmth and charm that welcomes you at once.
Yeah, and that's something it's very, very important to us as a hotel and as a visitor experience, and it's something that we really, I suppose, put into our staff, that hospitality is what my parents and my grandparents, God rest them, before them, were always into. And you give a person a welcome, and you may not have the shiniest floor in the world.
I wouldn't talk about not having shiny floors, but I'm sitting here looking at a gorgeous dark hardwood floor that I could lean over and put my lipstick on looking into the floor. So don't accept that as an explanation of what's going on here at the Woodlands.
We're one of 50 hotels in Ireland that have the guaranteed Irish mark. What basically that is a commitment to buying and sourcing as much Irish product as possible. So if you had an opportunity to have a steak in our restaurant, it's 40-day age, it's Irish Angus beef, probably coming from a farmer that lives within 20 miles of our hotel. And that's www.woodlands, WOODLANDS hotel.ie.
And now you can go to sabrams.com, where you'll find the archived audio of the radio broadcast interview that we are about to do with David. And if you go to travelers411.com, you'll find the podcast, which will remain live for 1 year for your downloading pleasure. Fitzgerald's Woodland. Let's see if I can do it all. House, hotel, and spa in Adare on the west coast of Ireland. This is Stephanie Abrams. We are in Ireland on the wild Atlantic Way. We are in Dingle on the Dingle Peninsula. If you look very carefully, you can see those white dots. Those are sheep. And there's a whole group of them almost dead center, now going almost in circles. They went left, they circled around, they're going right. I think they're going to circle back. I wonder if there's a sheep herding dog that has something to do with it. Here they come again. Now look carefully and you'll see them. They're now out of their group and in a big line. They're hilarious, making a beeline. Oops. Maybe they're playing soccer. That must be it. They're playing, even the sheep in Ireland are soccer fans. They're trying to make a goal. It's hilarious. Way out to the right. You can't see it now, but you'll get more footage of it as we travel on the Dingle Peninsula. I can see the Atlantic Ocean. It's grand. There's a lot about Dingle that resembles Connemara. I think the sheep hear me. They're coming this way. Now they're lined up in a huddle. Must be having a discussion about where they're going to kick the ball next. Come on, sheep. You can do it. There they go. They're off and running. And it's the fuzzy one out in front. I wonder if people bet on sheep races. This is hilarious. Welcome to Dingle. Even the sheep have a sense of humor in Ireland. Look over my shoulder at the lovely stretch of beach, but there is signage here indicating you don't want to be swimming. There are riptide currents here, and it's a lovely place to walk along the beach. There are some folks here with their big black dog who's rolling in the sand at the moment. And any time now, he'll probably come down and roll in this trench of water. He's all the way there on the left, and if we're swift enough, we might catch him rolling over and over in the sand. I don't really understand the fun in that, but this dog thinks it's great. And if you look over my shoulder, you will see an island. And the island is in the form of a sleeping giant, well known and cared about here. If you look, you can clearly see the face of the giant to your right. And as you look to the left, you'll see his tummy and his hands folded over his tummy all the way down to his feet. The town of Dingle is a hopping place. For those of you who know places like Ocean City, Maryland, other beachside towns where there are shops and restaurants and attractions and lots to do and see, and the whole region is an inspiration for so many creative people. So you'll find Louis Mulcahy's pottery shop, which is amazing, and Mark Murphy's cookery school. And there are all kinds of activities that are created, implemented, brought to fruition by the locals who breathe creativity out of the air. This is Stephanie Abrams live from the Dingle Peninsula in County Kerry, Ireland. Visit our site at sabrams.com, that's sabrams.com, and travelers411.com, where you'll find archived audio of interviews with people we've been doing here, as well as podcasts that you can download. And there are a million reasons you should be coming to the Dingle Peninsula, but one that I'd like to share with you today is the Dingle Ocean World Aquarium that was the brainchild and passion of its founder and director, Kevin Flannery. I want to say Flattery. Why is that? Kevin Flannery. I'm so happy you were available to walk through with us. This place is amazing.
Not at all, Stephanie. I'm more than welcome. I'm delighted to show you around what we've got, some of the indigenous species and some of the weird and wonderful things under the water that come off of the west coast of Ireland.
What you've done that is unusual is that you have a collection of fish from representing waters all over the world. What are some of the places that these fish come from?
Some of them come from the Caribbean, some from South Africa, some of them from Bali, and some from Australia, and some from Africa. What we've done is initially my purpose was to show the indigenous species from Ireland, because basically what I was doing was collecting weird and wonderful fish that the fishermen were bringing into me that they would get in the deck of their boat, and we were setting them up for the purpose of scholars and academics in the National Museum in Dublin, but they were there for posterity for them. But what I wanted to do was show the ordinary people of Ireland what it's like, live fish are like, and what it's like under the waters of Ireland, and educate them to that. And so we evolved from there to show them what a shark was like. We brought in sharks from the States. We brought them in from Florida. Then we
Any two-legged ones?
you get a lot of two-legged ones, but we tend to put them in with the sharks.
I like that. You know, in addition to extraordinary, unusual in shape, in design, in size, and certainly in color, you also have a room dedicated to penguins, and that is a place that is a delight to everyone, no matter the age, who enters that room. Where did these penguins come from?
These penguins came from 2 other zoos. They're captive bred penguins. We didn't go down to the South Pole and capture them, but they were actually captive bred, and we got 12 half and half from France and from Aberdeen, in the zoo in Aberdeen. Now they begin to breed because the environment we have created for them is as natural as possible. We have ice, we have the temperature, we have the lighting, and they have started, and we had the first Gentoo penguin born in Ireland 2 years ago.
Well, that was such fun. And you'll find videos that we've created at my Facebook, stephanie.abrams.94. Be sure to visit sabrams.com and travelers411.com for the archived audio of the radio broadcast of the interview with Kevin Flannery, founder, genius behind this wonderful place, and director. You can hear this is a place that attracts children. We're actually in a portion of the aquarium that is designed and dedicated for activities, artwork, things that storytelling and whatnot related to the aquarium that children would enjoy. So if you've heard what my mother would have called the hucking and banging and the happy sounds, that's coming from those patrons of the aquarium who probably enjoy it the most. This is Stephanie Abrams live from Dingle Ocean World Aquarium in Dingle, County Kerry, Ireland. We've only scratched the surface. Stay with me, more to come. I'm with Isabel Bennett, who lives on this farm that is also blessed with a fabulous view, has wonderful sheep and sheep babies that they use for wool, and backs up against a mountainside that is dotted with beehive cottages, beehive huts, which would have been the dwelling of choice 1,000 or more years ago. And we are standing in probably an upscale neighborhood of the beehive huts, because this hut is very big, very spacious, and is a 3-bedroom hut, or a 3-room hut. Anyway, I would imagine the center area would have been a kind of living room, kitchen, fireplace kind of an area, and the side rooms would have probably been bedrooms. What is it that you can tell us while we're standing here in this marvelous historic place, Isabel?
Yes, this is very typical of a dwelling place in early medieval Ireland, particularly anywhere up along the west coast where you had a lot of stone available to build the houses. You can see that the walls are built of stone, but because of the size of the actual structure, it's more than likely that you had a thatched roof or even a shingle roof. There would have been a fireplace in the centre, like you mentioned, and that's where the cooking would have been done, and of course it would keep the place warm in the winter time, and there would have been a hole in the thatch to allow the smoke to escape. It would probably have been a lot more smoky than the sort of place, the atmosphere that we're used to living in within our houses today. But when people didn't have anything cleaner to compare it to, it was a very comfortable place to live. There would have been some fixtures and fittings. There would probably have been some stools and bed fittings up against the wall. The beds would have had straw and perhaps fleeces, like it would have come from the sheep, wool from the sheep, and this is where the people would have lived and eaten. But most of the time, if the weather was suitable, they would have been outside working in the fields. They would have been farmers, they would have been fishermen, just like a lot of the people living on the Dingle Peninsula today.
And at this moment, we are west of Dingle town, are we?
We are. We're about 10 miles west of the town at this stage. We're on the Wild Atlantic Way, and we're actually beside one of the Wild Atlantic Way markers, the one for Cown Schley is what's written on it, which actually translates as Sleigh Head. And Sleigh Head is a headland just a mile or so up the road from here. So a really spectacular part of the country overlooking the Blasket Islands.
Not only a spectacular place for amazing landscapes and seascapes, but also filled with the history of Ireland. Thank you so much. This is Stephanie Abrams live from County Kerry on the Dingle Peninsula. And we are visiting with Elizabeth and Louis Mulcahy at Louis Mulcahy Pottery, a place you have to visit. But just in case you can't visit, you can find them online. But I have to tell you, we were just sitting in their cafe, and now we are in the upstairs showroom of their wonderful pottery, so creative and wonderful colors representative of the region. And as I was walking from the table to come here to chat with Louis and Lisbeth, I'm walking past a table display filled with books. And what do I come across but my good friend Malachi McCord's book, Danny Boy, the story of the legend behind the music. You can go to sabrams.com, that's sabrams.com. Let's talk about what we see displayed here.
Yeah, well, what you see displayed here is the pottery I design, and that I and the workers who work with me, and a lot of potters, we make that day in, day out, all the year round.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your workshop because the fruits of your labor are amazing, and I am a person into all things breakable. So glass, china, porcelain, pottery, all of it. No, I don't break hearts. We don't do that at our house. And you are particularly talented as well, Lisbeth. I've seen some of your work, and it is gorgeous.
Thank you very much.
Why don't you explain what you do?
Well, I'm a weaver, and I design scarves and stoles and things like that,
and also creative wall hangings.
Wall hangings and tapestries.
I used to teach a course years and years and years ago in the adult education program of a couple of different high schools near where we lived, and I called this course Creative Wall Hanging because I didn't understand why people, and it was mostly women, although there were men that were involved as well, why you would invest so much time and energy into something you would put on the floor so people could put their feet on it. So I was very much into wall hangings and pillows and things that, when it was done, could hang and be properly respected. Your stuff is gorgeous. When did you start weaving?
I started weaving when we moved down here to Clogher. I started weaving with an American weaver actually called Joanne Hayes, who I asked could she show me how to do it, and I just carried on weaving from then on.
How long ago was it when you started?
That was in 1975.
Well, we're going to have a nice look round, visit the workshop here at Louis Mulcahy's Pottery, and I hope you get to visit the Dingle Peninsula on the Wild Atlantic Way in Ireland. I want to thank you for joining us. Make sure you check out sabrams.com. That's sabrams.com, where you'll find my blog with photos we've taken while we're visiting here, and also Facebook, stephanie.abrams.94. Thanks for joining us live on the Dingle Peninsula on the Wild Atlantic Way of Ireland. We have so much more to visit and talk about. Don't leave me. Stephanie Abrams here. Hello, do you have a name? I'm Stephanie Abrams, live in Dingle on the Dingle Peninsula in County Kerry, Ireland, with the stars of the show here. Two beautiful baby lambs, and their mom is really over there, but this is the surrogate mom. We're standing beside the sea. We're standing beside these gorgeous baby lambs, one in particular here that's decided to stay, but I think you're leaving us too, are you? Going over to your mommy? How dear. And we're on a particularly interesting piece of property where not only can you hold a baby lamb and hug it and kiss it and snuggie with it, but this is where you will find the stone beehive structures that you may have seen in Star Wars. And they actually use the beehive stone cottage type structures that are about 3,000 years old for the most part. They were built by the monks on the Skellig Islands, and they did filming at Skellig Michael. And as you can see, once again, it is a glorious sunny day in Ireland, and I'm so tired of hearing people talk about how it rains all the time. Take a look at our photos at sabrams.com, sabrams.com, and at travelers411.com, and at my Facebook, stephanie.abrams.94. And you'll find the majority of the photos are taken in beautiful sunshine. And the reason that you've got such green grass is, yes, it does rain here too. So, Isabel, give us a little explanation about the stone structures here.
Okay, well, we're actually standing outside some, they're houses, and the ones that we're beside are ones that were built about 1,000 years ago, give or take. They were the dwelling places, the sort of houses that people lived in, ordinary people like you or I, back in the early medieval period. Now, you mentioned that some of them could be up to 3,000 years old. They would be prehistoric structures, and very rarely would you see more than the bare foundation of those. But the ones that they recreated, that they used on the Skellig Islands, would have been similar period, maybe 1,000, 1,200, 1,400 years old. That sort of a date.
Yeah, that would be new building.
Oh, well, for Ireland, yes. But given that out on the Skelligs, yes, it was a monastic site, so there were monks that were living in them, but ordinary people, they were just the houses. So whether you were a monk or whether you were an ordinary person, you lived in a house. And they were in these areas where you had so much stone, they were the houses, they were the kind of houses people built, because it was easy to be picking the stone out of the fields, and they were building in a tradition that they'd have for thousands and thousands of years, and they just continued using that tradition.
We're having a bit of a respite in one of the lovely drawing rooms here at the Benner Hotel. And I am meeting, I hope I get her name right, because if you looked at the spelling, you'd never get it right. I'm with, I think, Katrina Ní Coran. And you live where?
I live in just 20 minutes from here in a place called Brandon. We're on the foot of the second highest mountain in Ireland, and we're, if you ask a lot of people, the best part of the peninsula. We've a bit of everything. We've Irish culture, hill walking, fishing, you name it, we have it.
Well, when our viewers go to sabrams.com and find the show notes that include our visit with Katrina, you'll also find a link to cflt.ie. How's that?
You're very good. Jesus. You're more of a local than us. Fair play, welcome.
If you put me down in a place for a couple of weeks, I just start to blend. I'm something like a sponge. I just absorb. So let's talk a bit about what you do. You're into something very special.
I am. I'm very, very fortunate in what I do. I'm the general manager of Corcum and Fob and Latruig.
That's easy for you to say.
Oh, yeah.
What does that mean?
Basically, we are a cooperative based down in Brandon. We've been in existence since 1975. We're responsible for the social, economic and cultural areas in our community. So we're very, very busy. We are opened nearly 7 days a week between festivals. We have 5 festivals in the year. We work very closely with the guys in Dingle doing the Storm Festival in February.
What is a Storm Festival?
Oh, Storm Festival is fantastic. It's everyone on the peninsula comes together and they showcase what their town or village has to offer. This year we had the international recognised singer Sean Kane, his Shano singer, singer. Oh, it was magical. He was singing old Irish traditional songs with a great crowd there. Then we have people who have cooking up a storm. They come together and bring their meals, and it's just a fantastic evening get together. There was in Dingle, there was I can never say, sea shanty evening, where people sat around the fire again and
Sang Yo-Ho and Up She Rises.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay. So that was the Storm Festival. It was fantastic. Just you could go all over the peninsula and you get a piece of what that little nugget of the peninsula has to offer. So that was start of February. Now we're heading into the Irish courses. We're firm believers in our Irish language and promoting it and teaching people. We have the Hill Walking Music Festival coming up it's always Easter Bank Holiday weekend. We've 3 days of hill walking. We have family walks, a mindful walk.
What is a mindful walk?
Oh, it's a very tough thing to do. You walk for 2 hours and you're not allowed to talk to anyone. It's torture, but it brings you back. It brings you back to where you are. Mindfulness is something I feel very strongly about. We have a mindfulness festival in May as well. So we have, in the peninsula, we have a wide variety of people that do conscious aging workshops, compassionate communication, all the life skills that you need for dealing in this crazy world that we have at the moment.
And I am with the general manager of the Killarney Plaza, Igor Van Riel. It's so good to see you again.
It's good to see you again. Welcome back. Delighted to have you.
Let's talk a little bit about the hotel itself, just in terms of where it is, because I describe it as dead smack in the middle of the city. I think you probably have a better description.
No, I think your wording is exactly right. We're right down in the town centre. Anything you need is just 5 minutes walking distance, and we can see the park as well on the other side. So you're right to saying that.
Talk about the park itself.
The park is beautiful. It's got different types of deers. It's got a big flora and fauna. And right next door is also the Killarney National House and Gardens. So there's plenty to see for going for walks, going for hikes, cycling, going on the lake on the boat. There's plenty to do.
It's a beautiful area, and if you're into shopping, people, let me tell you, this is the place you want to be. Wonderful boutique stores, and anything you're looking for, you're going to find it here in Killarney town. Let's talk about the hotel itself. How many accommodations are there?
We've got 198 bedrooms, including 5 suites. And in that as well, we got the restaurant, we got the spa, we got a full leisure centre. And, well, you're going to speak to the spa manager later on as well. Only we've got new products there, which is a fantastic range.
How many people can you accommodate in the hotel for sleeping and for banquets?
For banquets, we've got a capacity up to 500 people. For sleeping, we've got 198 bedrooms. The majority of them will be doubles. We've got a few extra ones as well with triples. So anywhere between 400 and 450 guests.
We're going to do recorded interviews that you will find podcast and archived at Abrams, that's SABRAMS.com, and travelers411.com. With the various people that make the Killarney Plaza Hotel tick. So go check that out. This is Stephanie Abrams, live from Killarney. This is Killarney, and I'm in Killarney National Park at the Torque Waterfalls, which is a bit of Irish magic. What a gorgeous, gorgeous place. I'm sure you can hear the sound of the waterfalls behind me. It's really quite remarkable, and I am so happy that I can share this with you. You'll notice I am in my Kerry jacket. It was a gift from the people of the Dingle Peninsula who wanted to be sure we carried County Kerry with us wherever we go. So live from County Kerry in Killarney at the Killarney National Forest and Torque Waterfalls. We've got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned for more. It's a windy day in Dingle Town in County Kerry on the Dingle Peninsula in the southwest of Ireland. But the sun is shining brightly, and we've done so much. If I look a bit windblown, truly we blew through the door into the Global Village Restaurant in the town of Dingle, and I am here with executive chef and owner Martin Beelan. I want to thank you for making the time for us, because I know how the kitchen is always calling you. We had dinner here the other night, and we just had to come back. It was exquisite.
Thank you very much.
And so enjoyable to be here, because it really is a very calm but sophisticated kind of a place that is relaxing at the same time, so people can just come in and dine and relax and have some fun and eat a great meal. Talk to me about when you opened the restaurant.
We opened in '97, June '97, 21 years ago. I had returned from travelling.
Where were you?
I travelled all over throughout Europe and Australia, Asia, New Zealand.
How long were you away?
A number of years. I left maybe 24, and I was probably 5-6 years. I was actually 9 years travelling altogether, but I did a block after I finished college and trained as a chef, and I travelled for years. I'd stop and work and return maybe I used to base myself in the Channel Islands off the coast of France, and I'd return then and travel my winters, or maybe spend a winter in New Zealand or something. And then we went through South America and Central America. And then after a number of years travelling, we said, okay, let's return to Ireland. And there was the beginnings of a culinary scene happening in the 90s. And we said, hey, maybe it's time to open a restaurant.
Now, you mentioned that you did all this traveling after you went to school, and that included culinary school? Where were you educated?
I did culinary school in Waterford, which is down the southeast of the country. So that was probably 18. I would have started that and finished around 22. Back then it was a 4-year course. 21, 22 I left the country.
Clearly you had to have an interest in cooking to have chosen to go to culinary school in the first place. What's your first memory of actually being in the kitchen, slicing, dicing, stirring, mixing, enjoying, making a mess? What?
It's a funny one, because I was doing an engineering course. I wanted to be an engineer or architect. And I failed one subject or two subjects, I can't remember, which would have meant a repeat. But I needed to get some money together, so I got a job in a restaurant to get some money while I studied to do the repeat on the engineering, and then immediately went, that's it, I want to be a chef. I don't want to be an engineer. And that changed, it changed absolutely immediately. As soon as I put on the uniform, as soon as I loved the atmosphere, I loved the whole thing. I didn't cook a lot at home in my house, but I did grow up on a farm. So we had our own milk and cheese, and we had our own hens and eggs, and we had our own lamb from the mountain. So there was a great appreciation of food there on the farm, But I didn't cook a lot as a teenage boy. I wasn't interested in the kitchen, really, But then suddenly I just realised, yeah, I love this.
What of your experiences traveling the world translates into the cooking you do today, and the things that you serve and the way that you serve here at the Global Village restaurant in Dingletown in County Kerry, Ireland?
Well, each time you experience anything, it affects you in some way. Some of it stays with you. So when you're traveling through towns, in the early days I couldn't afford to eat in good restaurants, but you could afford to go to a market. You could afford to go and pick some produce and take that home, and you could afford to look at menus in great restaurants.
Pick some what?
Some vegetables, some produce, some whatever. Or go to, like, say if you're traveling through France, you might just, like, the markets and the charcuterie and all is fantastic. Traveling through Asia, just the smells and all. It all builds up to a memory bank of tastes, and it all builds up to a whole that forms you eventually into what you are. Often, then you have to try to forget all that and find your own path. So when I came back to Ireland, I just wanted to just be informed by the produce that was here, the fish from the boats, and that's what I realised, because when I was a young chef here, I didn't even see that, and the local movement hadn't even started. So back then, people used to boast, we fly our oysters in from somewhere, and we fly this in. If it came from far away, it was a great thing. Now it's if you don't know the farmer personally, it's like you're not considered as doing the thing properly at all. So that's when I got back to Ireland, I realised we've everything we need here.
Thank you for joining me in one of the parlor drawing room salons at Greenmount House in Dingle Town in County Kerry, Ireland. And this wonderful B&B is located on the top of a hillside overlooking the water and the town, and it's glorious. I have with me second generation ownership of Greenmount House, Gary Curran, who has inherited being the general manager from his dad, John. And it's your dad and mom who started Greenmount, isn't it?
Yeah, they started, it's 40 years old now this year, 1977. Started by literally people coming knocking on their door. At the time Dingle wasn't the tourist town it is now. I suppose it would have been 7 years after the making of Ryan's Daughter movie, and people were starting to find out about Dingle. At the time, mainly European guests. And so they were knocking on our door. Any chance you'd have a room? We didn't even have a sign out. So it was almost, at the time, my mother took pity on people because there wasn't many options. There wasn't a great bus service. So she said, okay. And then 2 days later, she put a cardboard sign, the back of a cornflake box, B&B out on the side of the road. And 40 years later, we're still at it. We had 2 rooms then, and now it's grown over the years. We have 14 bedrooms. So, but now it's served us well. It's been very good to our family. It's great. It's allowed us for whatever you take about it. It's allowed us to live and work in the town we've grown up. So, which for us it's a great privilege, So it's great.
Well, in addition to adding 14, or I guess you now have...
We have 14. We started with 2. So we've over the years, 12 rooms have been added.
But I have to imagine that the entire exterior has been changed because it's quite modern looking.
Oh, yeah. I suppose we'd have a policy of every January where we do up 3 rooms in a public area just to keep it fresh, and people's demands have changed dramatically in 40 years. So we had a gentleman here last year who stayed here 32 years ago, and he was back, and he managed to still have our business card. And I was laughing because what we were boasting about at the time on our business card was central heating. And that was a wow factor then. Now it's Wi-Fi's and everything else. So back then people's needs were a little more simple. So now every year we have a common card system where we look what guests are looking for, and we try and implement then the top 3 requests every year. And but it's great because you have to keep your business fresh, because it's like even as a business, you have people coming through every day. You have to so you keep on top of it, and that keeps people coming back. We have a huge amount of repeat guests, and part of that reason is because they know, look, we've kept our standards and we keep our quality, and they know their product, what they're going to get. And so with that man is one of many that are coming back 20, 25 years to us, and they all spread the words then to their families and everything. So really, I'd say a good 50% of our business will be repeat or word of mouth from family members. So
I was very impressed with how detail-oriented you are with the breakfast that's served to meet the special needs of people who are interested in gluten-free options and who are vegans, and you don't find that everywhere.
Yeah, I suppose it nearly goes back to the start of the business. When we opened first, all our business, I won't say all of it, but a huge percentage of it were European guests, because they were the first guests to come into Dingle. And hence, we had to develop options for Europeans. Didn't eat the full Irish big fry, and that's what was given out then. So we had to come up with ideas. So that's why we have an extensive buffet of fruits and everything. It started from an early age because we were struggling at the time. We'd never heard of what these demands were, and charcuteries and cheese plates and everything. So I suppose it's always been with us. So I suppose what we try to do is evolve our breakfast. It's a bit like the guest needs. We talked about the bedrooms. The guests have evolved too in terms of their tastes and what they want and what they're looking for. And you're always trying to preempt these things. And plus there's so much more intolerances now and that people wouldn't have had in the past. And so you're always trying to go, oh my, you're watching like your requests. And even people before they arrive are telling us, I have this and I don't have this and I can have. So you're going to go, right, we need to get on top of this. We're going to have an option for each of these this sort of requests people have. So it's, yeah, it gets, do you know what, it's great for us. It's interesting because suddenly every winter you're out with a batch of cookbooks and trying this out and go, oh my God, what does that taste like? I don't know. So it's great. So you learn, and people tell you, people are great to tell you, yeah, and do you know what? They're genuinely appreciative. Yeah. Because
Well, it's not everywhere.
yeah.
Not even everywhere in the U.S. where you walk in and not only find pancakes, but find buckwheat pancakes. And that's one of my favorites. So, and not easy to come by.
As you can imagine, in a small town of the southwest of Ireland, can be challenged at times to find ingredients, but at the same time, we're very. You probably noticed going to Dingle, we have a fantastic range of high quality restaurants and everything like that. So we're lucky we have sort of nice individualized stores like health food stores and stuff that sort of cater for that needs. So we're lucky in terms of other small towns in Ireland. We have that bit of an advantage. So we don't have to travel too far because I suppose we're Dingle and it's known as a sort of a gourmet destination now at this stage. So that helps us too because there's great chefs here, so they're looking for specialised ingredients. So that helps us.
And there's a health food store to boot.
Yeah, a really good one. A really good, yeah.
In Dingle. Give us the website. Skip the W's.
Oh yeah, greenmounthouse.ie is our website. Or any info@greenmounthouse.ie is our email address. Yeah.
I want to thank Gary Curran for joining us today in this lovely, truly lovely living room, drawing room, salon overlooking the sea. And this is Stephanie Abrams live from the Dingle Peninsula in County Kerry, Ireland. So good to spend this hour with you. Come back next week. We'll go somewhere wonderful and talk about great travel tips to make your travels wonderful so you can travel richly. This is Stephanie Abrams. Gotta fly now. Hi, I'm Stephanie Abrams, here in this bookshop to do a wonderful book signing. And why? Because everybody's interested in Rumors, my novel of suspense, intrigue, love, lust, and conspiracies and lies, and an ending you'll never see coming. Give it a shot. You'll find it at every online bookseller. Look for Rumors by Stephanie Abrams and enjoy.